when I was about 7, they sent me to sewing school. And I remember the very first thing I made was a little pink outfit. And they had to help me finish it, but I was able to do that. And, from there, it's been really a love affair with textiles, with cloth, and with understanding the cultural origins of these traditions and how they were practiced, especially by people of African descent around the world. All the time when I was growing up, I expected to become a fashion designer, to continue to be a maker. When I was in high school, there was a program called How You Act. It was started by Kenneth and Mamie Clark, this wonderful program in Harlem, How You Act Arts and Culture, where they linked master artists with young people. And I had the good fortune to be in a program with Zelda Wynne Valdez, who was a couturier, a Black couturier. And she took a group of us young people and taught us pattern making and taught us taught us fine sewing. And so I was sure after being trained with her that I was going to go into design. My parents had other thoughts. They said, what are you going to do as a designer? So you have to have an academic, training. So I said, well, if I do anthropology, then I can study the clothing of the world. And so I ended up getting a degree, in fact, 3 degrees in anthropology, but really focused on dress and focused on craft and the culture of makers, as well as the culture of people who use the things that are made. And that's been kind of a through line in my research. After I graduated from school, I was at the Brooklyn Children's Museum, and then I had done internships at the American Museum of Natural History, which were in curating culture, and an opportunity came up to curate a program at the Smithsonian on the culture of Senegal. And 33 years later, I've still been here. I've really had the great privilege of working with artists, makers from many continents and throughout the world. And my primary work has been with African and African American makers. And so I did a program which was a 10-year initiative called The Will to Adorn. And it really looked at why people choose to wear what they wear in African American communities. And I thought of this as looking at aesthetics of African American dress. So when people want to dress, by the way, one of the first things that came up was that, in terms of conclusions, was that dress was a matter of heritage, of aesthetics, also of identity, and also resistance. So one of the ways that freedom is manifested still in African American communities is in the choice of things to wear. And there are many, many communities, many African American communities, and there are many aesthetics of dress, but the uniting factor is both the freedom, the wonderful innovation in terms of what people wear, how they curate their own dress, and also the idea of resistance against oppression and aspiration. Yeah, I'm in the employ of the ancestors. I'm in the I do what they tell me to do. And that's always for me been a passion for art, a passion for uh, my heritage, both in terms of my family heritage, but also the larger heritage of global Africa and the connections between all of between the African continent, African American art, Caribbean art. There's a really important link there, and I think that it's linked to in a lot of ways to kind of spirituality. That it has taken so much strength and discipline and creative spirit to to for my ancestors, for the ancestors of people around the African world to be able to overcome, what they've had to overcome. And craft has been such an essential part of that. Making has been such an essential part of that. And connecting that to healing, to a way of healing, to a way of keeping oneself um, sound, in soul and in body. I mean, um, I think that's always been a connection that I've seen because, um, in a way, making making things, making beautiful things, um, whether you gift, they've been used as gifts for family, they've been used as things like my grandfather to make a living, um, they've always been a core for people uh, see to see themselves as self-sufficient, as interreliant, um, and in a way to create kind of a freedom and an independence. Um, and even when people were being oppressed, where their labor was not their own, they still found time to make things for the family, and that was a core of freedom and independence, even at our lowest. And I think that um, it's both an individual, as I said, and a communal quest to keep this going. So I guess that's the thing that is really important to me, and just the joy of making beautiful things. I mean, that's it. The the Senegal is a second home for me, and the embassy in Senegal has asked me to be one of the curators in a program which will be at the Senegal Biennale, which is the largest art fair in on the continent of Africa. And the program I'll be curating has to do with the relationship of um, artists in the United States with Senegalese heritage, tradition, or relationship to Senegal. And in a way, it's kind of a bookend, because when I was hired by the Smithsonian, I was hired to bring Senegalese artists from Senegal to the United States. And this is bringing American artists to Senegal. So I'm very, very excited about that. The other thing that I'm working on with the African American Craft initiative, which will continue as the African American Craft Alliance, we're working with the John C. Campbell School and the Folk Educational Network to do work to bring African American artists and students and makers to the folk school, and eventually to do a convening of artists in possibly in 2025. That is our aim. Uh, and to have time to do more of my own work. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that, and expect to be really busy.